fighter safety is an important conversation point in mixed martial arts. As more knowledge about the effects of concussions and damage becomes known, many wonder how major organizations like the UFC are protecting the men and women on the roster. In a recent conversation on the MMA Hour, Demetrious Johnson provided his insight on what's a growing concern in the sport. Johnson spoke openly about his position on the amount of damage many of his peers take and the damage that he's distributed to those he's fought in the past. I mean, I saw Bobby Green and Lando Venata and everybody in the back was like, oh man, that's a sick fight, and I'm like, dude, look at his face, that cannot be good for his brain, Johnson said. I'm just honest. I think Venata is an amazing fighter, he has a great game, he comes forward, does a good job mixing it up, great power. But for me, if I was his coach, I'd be like, dude, you need to work on your wrestling. We need to work on your clinch game. We need to work on not taking so much damage because I want you to have a long career. This is a conversation that segues directly into the controversy surrounding the treatment of Mark Hunt. Hunt was recently removed from an upcoming fight in Sydney, Australia after what was deemed health concerns. Hunt has since openly called out the UFC and specifically UFC President Dana White for the handling of the situation and other recent stories surrounding fighter health. The UFC says they're acting for my well-being. Why did they put me in the octagon with all these cheaters? Then why are they letting Georges St. Pierre fight again when he's talked about seeing aliens? Hunt asked, as reported by Brett Okamoto of ESPN. They just let a guy lightweight Kevin Lee fight with a staph infection last week. If they're worried about our well-being, why did they do all that? The answers to those questions are often seldom heard and many wonder who has the authority to answer them. Still, the fact remains that fighters are taking up a dangerous occupation that will have long-term ramifications. In 2016, Jordan Parsons, who died that year at the age of 25, became the first fighter to be diagnosed with CTE. When his career is compared to the likes of Chuck Liddell, Randy Couture or others, many are wondering exactly what those men will look like in their elder years. Johnson wants to see his peers in better health at that time. When you're done fighting, I don't want to look back at your fights and be like, oh man, you were such a sick-ass fighter, you did this and this. I want to look back at your career and be like, man, you did such a good job of not taking any damage, and look, you have something to show for it. You have a 15-year career, instead of a short 3 or 4 years because of all the concussions you've taken.